Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here with BrianGalkey, and we're Aces 53. You like that? I really focus on that today. I don't want to say
Yes.
Galke like somebody else we know says.
Yep.
Aces 53 stands for, if you haven't been watching this, I learned this when I was in college. That was a long time ago, but an instructor who said, remember 4 aces and a joker. And what happened was about, I don't know, a year or so ago, I was cleaning out a cabinet and these 4 aces and a joker fell out of there at me. And I'm like, this would be perfect for the podcast. And so aces stand for attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile, which you bring to the table and sells. And that joker is that unique ability that you have, that, like myself with my voice when I was selling by the phone, or like Brian talks about with his facial recognition, he can understand people. It's that unique ability you have or you learn. And we always bring on Thursday a joker, which is not a negative thing, it's a positive thing, and have them kind of teach us what they do and a little other things. And that's who we have today. Who do we have, Brian?
Today we have Christene Marie. So we both met her through this Sims group, right? We as Speakeasy. Actually, I think we first met her at TNC, right? When we were there.
I've seen her there. She was always so busy. I was not in that clique yet.
That's true. I think you had to leave early from TNC, didn't you?
Or no, I was there the whole time, but she just like told her, don't get away from him.
So. Well, a lot of people say that. So, it's hard to identify just her with it. No, she came with our friend Qasim and Susie, right? And so we ended up meeting her. And what was really interesting is I got to hear her talk in New Orleans about how branding is going now. So we used to think, like we talked about on Tuesday's episode, everything is about the company. Oh, it's Nike, it's Amazon, it's whatever. And what we've seen is the shift of we want to meet the people behind the product. And so it's a big shift. That's what we talked about before, is why no matter what position, what career, no matter what you want to do in life, you need to be doing videos as you, not as the employee you are, who your employer is. You can mention where you work, but people want to follow people. And that's what she helps companies do.
Right. I mean, they care about you, not where you work. This is something I've been dealing with for years because I'm in the mortgage industry, and the real estate industry also has been doing this, where they focus on you, because if you focus on the company, they don't care about you, and you got to focus on yourself. And so it's not unusual. It's not new for us, but it's new for, I'd say 90% of the people. And that's just amazing to me, and how much, we normally know, and the fact that other people just don't know that. So I'll bring her in for you. Hello, ma'am. What happened? She's not moving. She's frozen.
I know.
Wow. I'm glad I was frozen right when I joined. That's great.
We were going to just say you're AI. It was fine.
Yeah. I figured, do I want to show up for this conversation about authenticity, authority, and personal branding, or my AI bot? So
exactly.
So luckily we got the AI bot, is what
you exactly. I went with the latter.
That's right. So we talked a little bit on Tuesday about why you need to build a personal brand, why it's so important that people don't just do the product. And one of the shows I like to watch from time to time, Last Man Standing, and with what's his name, Tim Allen. And the whole thing is he does the vlogs at the end of the show. So it's Outdoor Man is the place he works at, but it's his vlogs that really attract the viewers. Right. And that's what we've seen more and more of. And we used to make fun of people for making videos. So if anybody doesn't follow Influencers in the Wild on Instagram, it's a great account to follow. But it is about, we used to think, and what we talked about on Tuesday is, you had to go work for the big corporation. I want to work for, the top 5 companies. I want to work for this. And we used to make fun of people who focused on being entrepreneurs or having a personal brand. It used to be about who do you work for determines who you are. And that's not where we are anymore. So with that.
Or is it?
That's the question.
That's what we need to discuss today. Well, I actually love, Brian, your kind of recap positioning, my coming in, because I thought you did such a good summary of that change in the consumer in terms of what are they really looking for. And there's so much nuance here. I've a couple of my social media posts recently, I've been sharing some things that have been meaningful to me, or things I've learned over the last year, et cetera. And people always, they love sharing their own opinion and sharing on the nuance of whatever subject it is that we're discussing. And so this one in particular, should you have a proprietary brand or not? I think I'd like to even back that up to, we have to agree on even what a proprietary brand is, to then be able to say, should I have one? And I actually think that the definition that we arrive on right now is actually going to answer that question by default. And the proprietary brand and this isn't a professional definition, right? Everyone has their own concept of it. But when it comes to a proprietary brand, my belief and the way in which we do business is that every single person has a proprietary brand because no one else has your soul. And it's because of that reason that it's like the mix of yourself, your spirit, and your soul working in coalition together that positions you to then have your own unique proprietary brand. And because of that reason, it's not a question of should I have one? It's okay, I do, because I am a unique individual from every other person. It's just whether I cultivate it in a professional sense or not. That's the decision that we make. It's like, yes, you do. But then how are we going to handle it? What does responsibility look like in that regard? How will it be an asset for me professionally? So that's kind of first and foremost. That's the position that I bring when it comes to proprietary brands, is that everyone, yes, does have one.
Do you talk to a lot of corporate people?
I do. Yeah. Why?
Because that was a perfect corporate definition. That was a beautiful one. So they would understand how to sell it to their people. So.
Yeah. And again, it comes back to like, when I was speaking at Traffic and Conversion in Vegas last week, the woman who introduced me, she said, how many people here have a personal brand? And about 5 people raised their hand out of, 100 or so. And it's like, no, we all do, and I think recognizing that is so important, because otherwise we can't really have this conversation. Otherwise it's upon recognizing that we each do. And then to the point of, then there's a series of questions that guide us through, okay, well, how do I cultivate it? How is it to be used? And then, you keep going on that pathway. But yeah, agreeing on the fact that we all have a personal brand is important.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you ask people, do they have a personal brand? They're thinking, no, I don't really promote myself, so I don't have a personal brand. Instead of understanding that, yes, there's you, and then there's the company. And there's always you. It's how, if it's not that way right now, it needs to get that way, because people buy from people they know. They don't buy from companies, because otherwise they wouldn't buy Tesla.
Right. It's so true. And one thing that we found was just really important and kind of solidified this point, honestly, was the fact, okay, so you said people buy from people, right? When we were working with Amazon, it was 2 summers ago now, because it was 2022. I keep saying last year is 2022, but yeah, 2 summers ago, we were working with Amazon on an event, and we were doing all of the communications, the press release, the email, the website copy, the social media, everything surrounding the messaging and positioning of the event we did. And, their LinkedIn profile has 7.5 million followers. And each one of the executives who were involved with the event, there were 9 different executives. The one with the most followers was 9,000. So obviously 7.5 million to 9,000. The, I think, natural inclination is, let's go ahead and put a whole bunch of copy together for the brand themselves. But we decided to go in a different direction and position copy for the executives themselves in alignment with, okay, what were the values driving the event forward, so that they align with Amazon, right? These executives need to be a good representative of Amazon. So what are the values? What is the personal take that each one has, because they're all such respective souls? And I like the soul level, because it adds in the dimension of kind of the personality to it, but then also that internal emotional take. I consider the soul, Thomas More speaks to this, a philosopher. He says the soul is the seat of the emotions. And so we have to understand our soul in that component. Otherwise, we're just going to be operating, apart from emotion. And emotion is really what does the connecting with other humans. It's that emotional driving piece that solidifies relationships. And so we consider the values of the organization, the soul of the individual, and then what is our desired outcome? What's the CTA? What's the call to action that we want them to take as a result of reading this content? And so we packaged up 9 respective social posts for these individuals, for these executives. And one post alone secured 850,000 organic impressions on LinkedIn from her 9,000 followership. And then the LinkedIn, and then the LinkedIn hashtag went trending on LinkedIn just because of these 9 individuals. So that solidified the point of this discussion here of people want to hear from people. We did post from the Amazon page as well, and it secured about 500 likes, but it wasn't, Amazon hasn't necessarily created a brand, because brands can do this too, where they've got a personal approach to their business and to their brand. You know, you've got Flow associated with Progressive, and you've got the Gecko. So brands have done a good job creating a person surrounding their brand. But when you're leading with the person, that was really where that example was really what solidified this approach in our mind.
So you threw it out there like, oh, I just work with Amazon. For your age, that's not what people would think, right? When we see movies, television, we think of the marketing firm or somebody who's helping with it being a bunch of older executives who are in this big high rise in New York City. Right. What are some of the different brands that you've worked with, and how did you get into the brands themselves? Was it because of the fact that it was a personal branding of yourself that got you in the door with them?
That's a great question. And this really actually harkens back to our initial approach to the agency when we started it. So we started it in 2019. I did, but I think so much, I'm only as strong as my team, right? So I always say we, but we started in 2019, and we really pursued strong partnerships and relationships with people, going back to that emotional connection. Emotion and data are really the bedrock of the way that we create our copy, but also the way that we operate business and the marketing strategies that we put forward. And so it was really the strength of the relationships that propelled that opportunity. We've also worked with, one of the top Fortune 50 healthcare companies. I'm not at liberty to say what it was just because of NDAs, but, top Fortune 50, Kellogg Foundation. That was wonderful working with them. Hope Credit Union, worked with them. And USAID and US Postal Office, Washington National. So it's been so fun, but it's by way of these relationships. I've never spent a dime on marketing myself, so it's really been the cultivation of personal relationships, which speaks to not necessarily because I was posting on social media, but because I was, at the time I wasn't. Now I'm doing more of that. But at the time it really was through the lunches and the networking and solidifying the interpersonal relationships. Emotional intelligence is the kind of the bedrock of what we do on the emotion empathy side. So emotional intelligence has two parts to the definition. The first is the ability to understand, control, and then express one's own emotions. And then the second part of it is the ability to handle interpersonal relationships with empathy and judiciously. So it's really that you've got to be strong in and of yourself, in alignment with your own. I talked about the soul earlier, understanding you, and then being able to go and have that relationship with somebody else. And so that first part of the emotional intelligence definition is really where we have to play on authenticity, because apart from authenticity, that empathy piece and those relationships that you have, they're going to err on manipulation, and it's going to teeter that fine line of, are you really being empathetic or are you manipulating me? So that's where the authenticity of knowing self propels the relationships to be that much stronger, because you've done the work to know you, and you're presenting yourself in a way with which they can actually connect. But at the same time, you're effectively going to be a demarcation the stronger you are in your own personal brand, because you're effectively going to push people away, but you'll attract the right people at the same time.
Unless you're Brian.
That's right. Then I repel people at the exact same time. It works the same, just different.
Just different.
Yeah. But in order to build their brand, they have to know who they're talking to.
Right.
And that's, I think a lot of people don't understand that, or don't take enough time to figure that out. Who is that? I was listening to Brandon the other day, and he was talking about when two niches intersect is a perfect way to figure out what your brand, who you're talking to, or who to go after. So it would be like, for me, like veteran business owners, right? That would be a niche that intersects. Right. And I help them, but I also help other business owners, but really veteran business owners, period, in general. There's a lot of them, but just not a lot of them in California. Smart ones left.
That.
Yeah.
Well, and you said when two niches intersect, because the business owners is much more broad, and then the niche of the veterans. Is there a secondary niche in the business owner umbrella?
That is it. The veterans. They're only 7% of the population.
Gosh.
That's it. Wow. Yeah. I'm surprised.
I'm surprised too. Gosh. Well, and there's so much potential there too. So the focusing on that allows for, honestly, clarity of vision. I love that you said that, because in terms of even knowing what constitutes success for you in your business, you have to know your audience, to your point, and then also you, because then you're going to be able to clarify your vision, and that's going to inform the business direction.
I just repeated it.
Okay.
Brandon Beardsley said it. Yeah.
You jumped really quick from 2019 is when you got started. And I know people are listening on, yeah, it's 2024. So that was 5 years. No, we just moved over into 2024. Yeah. So how did you go from deciding you wanted to start with an army of one, which is where a lot of people do start, right?
Right.
To when did you decide to scale? What were the signs? Like, first off, how did you get started? And then how did you develop your authority within the space to be able to work with these larger companies?
One question at a time.
Yeah. I'm like, let me remember all these.
How'd you get started?
I got started. Yeah. All right. How I got started was a little bit, it was a little bit of a different journey, I suppose you can say, from most entrepreneurs. From most interactions that I hear with others, they're like, I've always known I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never liked working for anybody else. It was always terrible. I've had this dream inside of me for so long. That was not the case with me. I started actually a little girls camp when I was 12. So I was, quote unquote, an entrepreneur at 12 years old. That I was a little girl, but it was for even younger little girls than me, 4, 5, 6 girls I was babysitting. And I did that for 7 summers. And effectively, I made enough money in that 1 week to sustain me for the year. My parents obviously bought food and stuff, but Christmas presents, I was funding myself. And so that was fun, but there was never any examples of entrepreneurs in my life at the time. And actually, I was very much so raised with under the guise of your calling in life is to be a wife and mother. And so it was very traditional, but I had this business side of me that I didn't really even know that that's what it was. It was efficient and it was fun. And we were financially free from mom and dad at 12. But I started, at 18, I was like, man, I just want to make a difference in the world. And my friend at the time was like, well, you need to have a skill set. So that's good advice. So I pursued getting a digital marketing certification at the time. There really wasn't, I actually didn't go to college. So this is something that's a little bit different about me, is that I just started working at 18 and started learning. I was listening to a lot of podcasts by OGs. This was, I guess, 2011. So I was learning from Amy Porterfield and gosh, what's his name? Gary V, all the OGs who have been talking about this stuff for so long, and we're testing it in real time back then. Instagram, what is that? And is that important? I remember in like 2016, Gary V was again talking about TikTok. Is that something that we should be paying attention to? And so I was kind of learning by doing throughout that whole time. And I worked in PR as a public relations manager at a local nonprofit by way of a relationship. And, they gave me the opportunity to grow into that role, but also I was getting certifications in certain things. And I just learned by doing. And then I started working for different agencies, and I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2019. And I was like, why am I giving my money away? This is odd. And I was 26 at the time. And my biggest fear was that by way of having my own business, I was like, well, am I going to stop learning? Am I going to become the smartest person in the room, because I've got my own business. I don't have someone that I'm learning from, a coach per se. And thankfully, 1, that's never been the case. I've never been the smartest person in the room. But 2, because I had that foundation of self-taught and kind of self-education, that wasn't something that was too concerning to me by any means. And so the part about this that was a little bit different was I prayed. I was like, okay, God, if you want me to start this business, send me somebody, but I'm going to do my work. I'm going to go out and start looking for people. And the next morning, somebody who I'd met 6 months previous for 10 minutes, they reached out with a client out of Dominican Republic. It was a cold pressed juice company. They were doing digital marketing, or they needed digital marketing to geofence Giant Eagles and Walmarts. And so I found a digital marketer, I found a web developer, and I found a designer, and I contracted them, and it was $5,000 a month. And then that was my first client.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was kind of the inception of it. And I've never had to worry about not learning enough or being too smart for anybody.
Can I go? You're talking too much. It's funny when we look back, and it should be on Beyond's Instagram and TikTok. People are still saying that now.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
We're talking 10 years, and people are still like, oh, should I do? I don't want to do video. Why not?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, and Brian, I want to hear what you've got to say too, but I think Ed, you just made a really, really good point.
Okay, but not as good as Brian's, I see.
All I was going to say is that's one thing I appreciate about all of us that are on here is we're always still chasing to learn from other people. So we go to different masterminds and things. And that's the most surprising thing is I was an employee for 21 and a half years. And if I ever went to a seminar, everybody goes, why? Is it for a promotion at work? But when you find entrepreneurs, they're all in different masterminds. They're in different groups, constantly pursuing additional knowledge. People in the 9-to-5 jobs, look, I was one. But if you go to anything that's not directly correlated to the job you're at, people go, well, why? And that's the main difference I've seen.
I agree with you. I agree. It's the ongoing pursuit of learning. And I think it's a heart posture that poises and positions us for that. I think too, back to what you were saying, Ed, it's like it becomes not scary anymore to post, to learn, to put yourself in these situations. I actually had this realization the other day. The last 2 years, I've been spending a ton of time traveling. I've been spending a significant amount of time alone, both of which made me feel very uncomfortable at one point. And now I'm like, oh, let's go into a new room. Let's go travel. It's actually more uncomfortable to exist in the ordinary because then I have to confront, well, am I actually living in alignment with my ideal every single day? It's a lot easier now for me to change my environment. And so I find myself that the things that I've been doing, yes, they've gotten more comfortable, but if it's the mindset of pursuing the discomfort for the purpose of growth in alignment with my vision, right? I'm not just doing these just because, but I'm propelled by my why. And so the more clear we are, going back to that whole concept of vision and knowing our niche and knowing who we're serving and knowing our audience and being propelled because of them, then it's going to move us from our seat of comfort into discomfort for the purpose of growth. So I love that you say that. And to add back to what you're saying about content, I mean, that's still hard for me. That makes me feel uncomfortable.
Good. Do it.
Still,
do everything that makes you uncomfortable. Yeah. Eating alone is not a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was originally, but not a big deal. Yeah.
Well, you just sit at the bar, right? Like there's a difference between.
No, yeah, I can sit at a table alone. It's not a big deal. So.
Oh, I like to sit at the bar. Well,
then you've got your friend across the aisle.
Well, there's several things, right? When you're at the bar, people are usually sociable.
Well, the problem is when he sits at the bar, they go, are you working or are you here on break?
Just because I dress like him. Yeah, I do. Now, here's what's funny. I know what vest and shirt to wear because if I go somewhere that I know they wear black shirt and vest, I won't wear that. I'll make sure and wear a white shirt and a vest because I don't want that to happen.
Are you the manager? Yeah.
Yes. I think I get more perks.
I was going to say, you sent me that one of your cheat sheets about essentially how to get more social engagement and how to get more perks.
I'll have to show you guys something funny there. This is completely off subject, but there's a guy who owns a bar here that we could be brothers. And I walk in, everybody freaks out. And then I'm like, nope, not Len. I'm going to look for the picture real fast.
I have my paycheck.
Yeah, right.
Give me a drink, damn it.
While you're looking for that, I'm going to ask my question. When did you find your why? Are you still refining that?
I found my why over the last 2 years. So I started the business in 2019 and the first 2 years of it were really focused on, I was married at the time and my husband wasn't sure if he wanted to stay married. And so the first 2 years of business were really focused on, I was doing it on the side. I was building my team, but I was really focused on how do I save this engagement and this relationship that, I got married when I was 20. So I told you I was groomed to be a wife and mother, right?
Yeah.
I was just a wife, but yeah, it was really so focusing on him and that relationship. And frankly, I had been focusing solely pretty much on that throughout our entire marriage. I wasn't cultivating my why. I wasn't exploring, well, what do I want? Who am I? Who was I designed and created to be? What unique gifts do I bring into the world? It was very much so, my why is for the service and purpose of others, and namely my husband at the time. And so when he officially left 2 years ago, that was my breaking point. And I really believe that whenever you are broken, you're faced with the decision of, okay, how then will I live? Now time starts. Now I'm awake. I am, because of that broken, it's an awakening of sorts if you let it. But if you allow yourself to face and confront the truth with what you see who you see looking back at you in the mirror, then you are faced with the decision of how then will I live from here on out. And so in doing my own work, and over the last 2 years, just really pursuing the discomfort. Now it's not so much discomfort of being alone and traveling, but throughout that process, the concept of emotional health and emotional intelligence and cultivating skill sets. Man, if I had been emotionally healthy, if I had been emotionally intelligent way before, if I had grown up in that kind of environment, what would my life look like now? If he had too, right? It wasn't just he was a good guy, but it just, for whatever reason, and I really do attribute it to lack of emotional health. And so my why now is very much so surrounding the emotional intelligence, emotional health of businesses, of individuals and communities. And so, and I've even found that as I've gotten more narrow and clear on who I am, my personal brand has taken off. So they're very tied. Who I am on a personal level is very much tied to my success on a professional level, so that I show up as I truly am and thus attract the right people. It's all really much so builds on each other. So that's more or less my why. And I'm sure it will get more clear as time goes on. But it's impacted the direction of my business. It's impacted the vision and also our ability to serve. It's at a much more deep level than it ever was before.
So I'm hearing you to say that you're niching down who you're trying to help.
Yes.
And the closer you get to that niche, the more you're able to help the people you want to help. You get rid of the people you don't want. And that,
Right.
that you don't want and they don't want you, which is
Right.
fine. And
Right.
a lot of people, when they talk on social media and they do stuff, they're like, I don't want to offend. No, you want to offend people. You only want the people who are there. And I had one of my videos go viral on TikTok, and it was because of the haters on there. So I tell people, engage the haters, because that engagement is worth more weight than gold, because people will come in and say that, no, this is right. They'll protect you, but the haters bring up more engagement.
Wow.
And that makes it grow so much more. And I even engage with them. Like, they was like, this guy is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I do know what I'm talking about, but so I go, really?
Yeah.
Right? And so and I'm just
like,
saying,
engage
with them, because it is a way to make that engagement go even more, because they're idiots and they'll just keep going, and they'll see other people, help the algorithm to grow. And so don't hide from them, because I used to say hide them and forget them. Not anymore. Talk to them. Yes.
Yeah. You used to let them bother me, like, oh man, they hurt my feelings, and then not want to respond, and delete them or hide them. Now, let's just have the conversation.
Yes.
Why not? It helps you refine your message, right? It helps you with the algorithm. Why not respond to it? Now, if it's hate speech, I'm going to come do something to you and your family or anything like that. You can call me names all day long. I don't care. But yeah, to Ed's point, engage them, because there's people who like your stuff, and there's people who just scroll past it. But when people see that conversation going, I swear, with YouTube, somebody will put a conversation out, or Instagram also. And if you respond back to the haters, I swear they pump it to more people. I think they're looking for people to argue.
That's how TikTok was. That's how TikTok is. Yeah.
One thing too, one of the little tips and tricks when it comes to social, you doing that literally 2x's the number of comments on there, right? So if one person comments, then you respond. Well, now you've got two, know? So there's a smart way in another element to increasing the algorithm, which is so good. Another thing, for Instagram specifically, I really like hiding the like count, because people subconsciously, they want to be part of a tribe. So if you just posted and you've only got 2 likes because it's been 2 seconds, hide it, because people are going to see that it's a low like count, and it's going to stimulate engagement so much more if you do hide those likes. So hide it for the reels and the posts.
So Ed and I have a constant. Oh, go ahead, Ed.
I just promote them.
You what?
I promote them.
He bumps
my reels. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Have you?
Because here's the thing: is people will look at stuff, but they won't like it anymore. Because you? I mean, we could look through a lot of stuff, and most of the time we don't even, we look a little bit, but we're not going to like everybody's stuff. I'll see Brian's only got 2 likes. So I'll go and like it and make him feel better. But other people, I don't necessarily do that for. You're welcome. I don't want you crying at night by yourself.
You mean any more than I already do? I appreciate that. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. It's just sad when you do it in front of your daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
You're dragging family into this.
Yeah.
They call it
I'm
two
gonna
old
block
guys from the Muppets. All right.
Yeah. All right. So something you brought up in New Orleans that was kind of different for me is you were talking, somebody asked, what about using schedulers versus doing it? And you said you like doing native, like in each app, you like putting your posts versus using a scheduler. And then I brought up, oh, well, and I was trying to make, I think it was Pam feel better. And I'm like, well, just put it up to Instagram and I'll push it to Facebook. And you were very staunch, like, no, don't do that. So, and I mean that in a positive way. What was the reason that you don't like using schedulers, or you even between Meta, right, Instagram and Facebook,
Right.
you are not a fan of using one to push to the other versus natively uploading it? What kind of led you to that decision?
That has purely been our experience. And so there was, we tested it across, multiple different platforms in terms of just doing the one size kind of fits all approach in terms of either doing a scheduler or doing Instagram to Facebook. And this is all just my experience, right?
Sure.
That everybody has so many different opinions, but from what I have found, the algorithm really likes it when you're posting content natively as opposed to scheduling. Another reason for this too is, well, this extends to a third option, right? Having your VA push it out for you.
Yes.
If you've got your VA in another country, they're going to start thinking that your account's in a different country. That's what we found when we took over a social account for one of our clients. They were in the mental health space. All of our explore page was, I think she was in India. All of the accounts that kind of attributed us, they were like, we think you'll like this. It was all companies based in India, or just people, celebrities. And so that was one thing that we found. But then when it comes to the schedulers, it's probably better now. But we just cultivated the practice of let's go ahead and there's another reason for this. Not only have we found that the algorithms like the native posting, but we actually take the links every time that they go live and we send them out to our community, whether it's our team, our clients and their team, but we have instantaneous engagement with the posts because again, it's proving to the algorithm that this is a worthy post to then push it out further and increase reach. So if you're using a scheduler, I have yet to find a scheduler that will, I'm sure that there's an API, and frankly, as I'm saying this, I'm like, oh, I should look into this. An API set up with Gmail or something like that automatically sends it out. Even Slack, where it sends out a Slack message linking the posts from, wherever, even go high level. I'm sure that there's even a workflow that you could set up. Actually, I had my team look into that and I forget what they came back with. But I'm sure that there's a way. I wouldn't be opposed to using the scheduler if we could get the instantaneous email out with all the links that says engage with this, because that's the biggest reason. I like sending it out.
I've been using high level, and the only issue I run into is Instagram.
Right.
It's like, oh, by the way, we think there's a problem with your account constantly because I post a lot, just not a little, a lot. And
those nudes you keep putting out there, Ed.
Hey, they want them. I can't help it. They want them.
Give the people what
I
they
do
want.
what the fans want. Give me a break. Yeah. No, and that's the only one I find has an issue. Is Instagram with posting. And I'm not talking video posting. I'm just talking, not reels. I'm just talking regular posting because I do a lot in my industry. I upped my game a while back to see because somebody reached out to me and they were like, we'll help you with your podcast. And this is what we'll do. We'll cut your podcast up to 3 shorts and 2 3-minute and a 5-minute video. And then we'll and so they told me everything they were going to do. So I'm like, is that what you do? Okay, let me try that. And it worked. So, but I also do other static posts, for my industry and stuff like that I have put up. Plus all, everything that everybody's ever done for me. So I started setting it all up through High Level and another service. Nice. And the only one I've been running into is High Level is causing Instagram. Like I'll go bring it up on my phone and I'll go, there's an error. So I'll have to go in directly to Instagram on the computer or, Apple. Yeah. And then it's like, does this flash? And then I got to catch it to say I'm not a robot.
How weird.
Yeah. So
Brian, do you post natively on Instagram and then just connect it to Facebook? Is that?
Yep. I have Instagram push it to Facebook. Yeah. Just because that's where my larger following is.
Yeah.
But to your point, something you brought up that you kind of went past it fast. So for people listening, you don't have to have VAs and a team to do it. There's some people who they're like, hey, we all post on Instagram. So as soon as I post anything on Instagram, they put it in a group and say, hey, we whip this comment. So what is whipping? It's go and like it, share it, whatever, to create that instant engagement. Because you're 100% right. The faster somebody reacts to something you post, the more it gets shown to other people. So you don't have to have a big team. You can have your friends do it and go, hey, when I post this, we go like it. So because our audience is people who want to get started and want to build an authority in the space, that's a way you can do it without having to pay someone to do it at the same time.
I love
Or you just pay to boost it.
True.
And the reason I'm saying that is the same thing as telling somebody else to go do it. You're paying a few bucks to have it boosted and pushed out to people. Same on TikTok. I played around with that. I mean, I can go from 500 views to 3,000 views in 20 minutes by paying a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking a lot of money, $10 a day.
Yep. Yeah. The event I went to with Ryan Majin, there's a lady who said the TikTok jail, you'll always know if you're in it because you only get about 300 to 400 likes. And sure enough, if I don't boost a post, what is it, like 324, 342, 357?
They do that for a reason. And actually, that one I had in mind that went viral, that was not a boosted one at all.
Yeah.
So it was just I find if you wanted something to go viral on TikTok, put the word hack in it.
Hack? Oh, this is exciting. Well, y'all are inspiring me.
You're not from Texas, are you?
No.
I didn't know you were from Texas.
It's efficient. Y'all is faster, and it's also cute. So.
Well, it sounds like you're from Texas. I'd like to see a cowboy hat, a cowgirl hat on you, and see how that works.
I am wearing boots.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, she was in Texas a year ago, literally.
Yeah, where were you, Ed? We were in Dallas. Brian and I were waiting for you, and you never came.
So here's the thing: I've been to so many of those events in the past 4 years that it was one of those things that I told you my industry changed. I'm like, I'm really going to stay back a little bit to implement everything I've learned over the past 3 years that I never had time to, because before you know it, I got to go to another event. So because I was going to podcast events in Florida multiple times, Go High Level. I was going to the Funnel Hackers. I was going to everything. And it's to a point where, okay, this is what I need to do. But then I'd come back and get stuck in my business doing other stuff, and I didn't do it. So I've been focusing on, my book came out in February of last year, stuff like that. Thank you. That I needed to do, that you're too busy to do with everything you're going on. Yes, we can hire staff. I'm in California. Employees suck in California. And I want VAs, but I want contract. I don't necessarily have to have them from other countries.
Right.
I just don't want them in California.
Right.
So
stay away from that. Yeah, I hear you. I don't know about you, Brian, if you've been experiencing that same almost like event fatigue, but I'm not allowing myself to go anywhere in February. It's almost like a
all of February.
Yeah,
that's like 29 days now.
I think is it 20? Is it a leap year?
Yes, it is.
Holy crap!
Oh, I didn't even know that. There you go.
2020 was the last one. 2024 is the new one.
That's so exciting. Well, we do know what movie we need to watch, right?
No. Leap year? I don't know. Maybe.
It's cute.
Well, you never know. It's also Valentine's Day month, so you could have been talking about that movie. With you being a Hallmark movie actor and everything. Actress. Yes, actress. Actor. Yes.
Yeah.
I do love a good rom-com. Don't get me started.
So you go from the big city to the little town to find the guy who made it, fall back in love with your high school sweetheart, all that kind of stuff.
I got to tell you, if I was to make a Hallmark, it would be where both people are successful.
I'll just send you a meme. There's one like 2,000 scientists work to find one additional ending for a Hallmark movie because they all end exactly the same.
I start the same way. The middle, I can't tell it from here. It's too.
Look at! Oh my gosh, y'all are twins.
We even have the same man cans. It's pretty bad. So yeah.
You guys are low key wearing different colors of.
Yeah, they said, "Hey, I'm wearing blue tonight." Okay, I'll wear black.
That's right. You said you wouldn't tell, Ed.
Yeah, but we can have matching jeans.
I just want to know if you do get free drinks as a result of that.
Only if he's there and he's bought me ones. But no, it is funny because I literally have a shirt that says "Not Len." So when I walk in the door, they're like, "Not Len is here."
Okay, wait. I want to circle back really fast. I'm sure you've talked about this before, but I just love your comments about the little things you wear, the little things you do, how they really do secure that additional emotional connection with people.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about Ed and his sweaters? Or
Yes. Ed, tell me about your sweaters. This is so exciting.
What
I don't know about
sweaters?
this.
I'm kidding, the one you're wearing right now.
That's a
No,
sweatshirt, by the way.
Sweatshirt, sweaters.
No, I'm in my, so I built out my studio in my house, but it's a 1950s house, and the bedroom I took over and turned into, and it's a great, if I could turn the camera, I'd show it to you, but it's cold. It's old plaster home.
Oh, yeah.
So this room is always cold. During the summer, guess what? It's a little warm. So that's why I wear the sweatshirt. When I was at my other studio downtown, it would always get too warm in there. So
I think what I'm hearing you say is that you're inviting Brian and I to come and visit you to take you shopping. Is that
no, I have a ton of clothes. I'm a clothes whore. I just don't wear them.
You're
Right,
just a hoarder at that point. So if you have a
Yeah.
bunch, but you don't wear it, you're just a hoarder.
What am I going to do? I actually, the other day I was telling somebody, I don't even leave the house anymore. No,
That's probably just for society's benefit. But
that's correct. I'm the president of my Rotary this year, and if I didn't have Rotary on Thursday, I would be fine, because I get up now early, do my stuff, focus all day on video work and everything. Next thing I know, it's 6 o'clock at night, and my wife and I go to the cabin and stuff like that. But it's just, I waste no time going anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't,
So
I don't
much
lose
more
an hour a day driving to my office, doing this, running there, and it's just, and I don't have to leave to go to lunch. I just, even though I have an office still, I hadn't been there in 45 days. So.
Wow.
Ed, he's becoming a hermit, Brian?
No, that's not what I'm
Yes.
saying. I'm saying
Unless
I'm
there's going to be
very
an
much
event at his house,
efficient
he's not going to
at
go.
what I'm doing. I'm doing the job of 4 people right now.
So the next speakeasy will be in Ed's living room.
No,
I'll bring the bourbon.
Yes. To answer your question, so we talked, and that was funny enough. There was a LinkedIn article about what makes you, and this one was makes you feel beautiful. I'm not going to go for that route, but when you're
it makes you beautiful, Brian.
Yes, I'm going to tell you, my eyeliner, and it was an article on LinkedIn about when you go to become a speaker, you're going out to an event that you're going to be at. What do you wear that makes you feel comfortable in your own skin while you're there?
Right.
And so I responded back today. Obviously, if you ever see me, it's always in a vest and a dress shirt. And it started because I used to work for a company. We'd have to do 3 suits to do the presentations, but I run hot. So I'd always ditch the jacket. And then I started wearing vests, and I realized I got credit for being fully dressed without having to put on a suit jacket. And then because I used to sell to law enforcement, they may come up in suits, or they may come up in a polo shirt. So if they came in a polo shirt, I would ditch my tie and roll up my sleeves, and then you kind of mimic the person in the room, because there's nothing worse than showing up to a room and you're completely different from the people who are there. And so then it just became, I wore the vest, and that's the thing. So now, like even when I went to Ryan's event, I walked in, 3 people walked up and go, "Are you the face guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that's a weird thing, but it's because I wear the same thing whenever I'm at an event.
Wow.
It's always going to be a dress shirt and a vest. And then when we go out at night, it's going to be this. It's going to be a black V-neck. So people probably think I have like 4 shirts total. Because when I find a t-shirt I like, I buy like 3 or 4 of them. So I have the one that says Rogue Fitness, and people are like, "You wore that shirt the other day." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's a different one of the same shirt."
Well, that's with me at hats. I have so many of the same hats. I have multiple, and I have so many of them. It's not like I'm wearing the same hat all the time. I have multiple of them. But for me, it was black t-shirts and jeans, and that's my thing today. When I'm the president of Rotary at my event and I'm running the whole thing, I'm still in black t-shirt and jeans and my nice tennis shoes, but I wear a certain watch. That's my thing. It's a watch that I wear. So
I think we should challenge Steve and Henry to have to shave, because that's both their logos, right? Like, is their beards and the goatee. I think we got to find a bet that they lose, that they both have to shave, just to see number one.
They'll never bet. They'll never bet that.
I would love to see Steve without that. I don't know who he would be, actually.
Yeah. So he showed me pictures of Henry before Henry had a beard too, because look at Henry's marketing, and Henry's is the beard, right? And Steve's is the goatee. So it would just be funny to see the 2 of them with no facial hair.
Well, my wife's only seen me one time without facial hair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've always had a goatee. I always had a goatee.
Right.
It's kind of it really is unsettling when you see the person without their facial hair for the first time, or like 5 times. You're like, I can't really look at you or kiss you, because who are you? It's very weird. Y'all look very differently without the hair.
I went to go trim my beard one time, and the clipper went, and I'm like, oh, and I had to shave it. And my daughter, when she walked in, she went,
My kid, how about this? My kids had never seen me without a goatee, and I had to shave it because I had a deviated septum getting repaired. And they're like, you got to shave. My kids were like, yeah, that's dad. Yeah,
that's dad in your naked raw form.
Yeah. I look like Uncle Fester. It's not good when I shave mine, so I will be keeping the beard.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't care.
All right. I know we've got 1 minute, and you guys both have to jump. So, Christine, any parting thoughts?
I guess the only parting thought I would say is take the time to take stock of who you are, because that's really the precipice for you being able to establish your proprietary brand.
And I would only add, know your why.
Know your why.
Mm-hmm.
Because until you know why you're doing it, the real why, then it's a waste, because you can't figure out who you are until you know that. And I mean, I'm not trying to upstage you. You told your why, and the more you've learned your why, the more you become. And that's just what I heard today. So
absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, because in knowing self, there's a whole litany of questions in that. And why is just, that's what moves you. That's what keeps you going when the days get long.
100%. In addition to your website down below, we just popped up for everyone. How do people follow you, find you? Not in person, but online.
Online at Christene Marie, CHRISTENE, Christene Marie. Either Christene Marie on Instagram, LinkedIn, and y'all have inspired me. I'm going to start posting on TikTok. I don't have TikTok on my phone because I haven't wanted to get addicted. But I'm thinking that that's the next step for me in my phase of discomfort. Let's go.
Yeah, no, what you have to do is get another phone or take all your information off of it. So I have one phone that is work, and I have one phone that is for TikTok right here.
All right, thank you. I'll get a TikTok.
And one for OnlyFans.
Because if you do because you tell it that it has the access to everything. I heard you. I just ignore you. You're given access to everything on there. Everything when you sign their thing. Yeah.
I don't like
that. That's a great idea. I didn't even think about that. Just transferring it over and only using that phone for that one. Oh.
And you could actually do all your social media on one phone and just have everything there, but no banking information, no other stuff.
Right.
What a good idea.
Yeah. And because I know, doesn't Ryan have one of these for every one of his clients? A phone for
a separate phone for every one of his clients. It's just for the social media stuff. And that's the big, people think they have to have the latest, greatest phone. I think he's got some like 10s, some 11s, definitely not all 15s.
Well, he's not using the video on it. He's just uploading through them.
Right. Exactly.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right, Christine Marie.
Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Yes.
It's nice to see you. I'm sorry I haven't seen you. I have been ignoring you, but
I know you've been doing good things. You've been 4 people in one, so all power to you. Thank you guys.
Just going back through everything that you're doing and figuring out what you need to do for your company and what needs to change. And we go through these situations, like I told you in the beginning, it was, did this happen to me or for me? And I realized it happened for me, to go back through everything I was doing and retooling it. Because we get to a point where we're so used to doing it a certain way, and we don't relook at it because it's working. It's not broken. Don't fix it. So sometimes you got to break it so you can fix it.
Yep.
So good.
All right. You gonna take us out, Brian?
Sure, why not? Hey, everyone, thank you for watching today. Best way you can support us is go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Christine, thank you for being here today. Ed, of course, thank you for always being here. So remember, we are live every Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays, usually just me and Ed being grumpy at each other. But then on Thursdays, we bring in guests like Christine to share special information, tips, tricks, you name it. So everybody have a great